Good evening out there. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Sarah Howard, the Youth and Community Services Manager for DBRL. Welcome to our Planning a River Creek Cleanup Know Before You Go program with Missouri River Relief. We know that fall is a good time to get outside and make a difference in your watershed, and the weather's been beautiful. That's why we invited Missouri River Relief to join us to share their expertise about picking up litter along your favorite creeks and neighborhoods. You can watch the whole event right here, right now, or we will also host it later for a long time, probably. But now let's welcome Kristen Schulte, the Education Director, and Anna Miller, the AmeriCorps Education Assistant of Missouri River Relief. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate it. Anna and I are excited to have the opportunity to work with the library to share some of our tips and tricks that we've learned over the years from doing river cleanups. For some of you that may not know us, we are Missouri River Relief. We are a non-for-profit organization. We're dedicated to connecting people to the Missouri River, and we do this through river cleanups, recreation events, and education programs just like this one tonight, all along the lower section of the Missouri River, although we're based out of Columbia, Missouri. So we started in 2001, and over the years, we've taken over 27,000 people onto the Missouri River to pick up nearly 940 tons of trash. So all of this experience has taught us a thing or two about picking up trash that we want to share with you when you're thinking about planning your very own creek cleanup or neighborhood cleanup. So we believe that learning happens best when we are outside. So when we're talking about our tips and tricks, we're actually going to go out to a local creek here in Columbia to share a few things. When we're out at the creek, we'll talk about some of the things that we think are good to have with you, some of the things to be prepared that you might find. And then after our creek visit, we're going to have a live Q&A with Anna and I, and that is an opportunity for you to think about any questions that you might want to ask us. They can be related to creek cleanups, they can be related to Missouri River Relief, anything, we're open to it. So be thinking while we're out at the creek if there are questions that you have come up, and the best way to ask those is going to be in the comment section below. Now, if you are not watching this live, then you will not have the opportunity to ask us those questions in the comment section. So the best thing to do then is to email your questions to Kristen@riverrelief.org. So Kristen's Kristen, and we'll put the email address in the comment section below too. So after the Q&A section, Sarah is going to join us again and share some really interesting books that she has enjoyed about the Missouri River and give us some recommendations if you guys are interested in digging in a little bit deeper. And then we will say goodbye for the evening. So sound like a plan?
Good. It does, sure does, Kristen.
Awesome. All right, well, I'm excited to introduce my friend Laura. So let's all head on down to the creek.
Like maybe this bird. There might be frogs. You never know. turtles or crawdads. You might even get to see an otter or a muskrat or a groundhog or a penguin. Let's see. Let's see what the otter thinks. No, not a penguin. Oh well. Just like my friend Olivia Otter, I like to get wet and muddy and play in the creek. And oh no! There's trash. Not again. Not another water bottle. Something used once that lasts forever is garbage. And we make 1 million a minute, and we buy and use that many too. Can you believe it? 1 million a minute every day. What a waste. I know exactly where to put this water bottle. In my reusable trash bag. Thank you, Olivia. All right. So, next. When I explore a creek, I always carry a reusable bag with me, just for litter, because it seems like no matter where I explore, I find trash. It's so ugly, and it could harm the very creatures I so enjoy observing. I can pick up a bag full and then dump it into a waste bin at a park nearby, or recycle the aluminum and glass once I clean it. I don't want to show you any yucky pictures about all of the harm that plastic litter causes to animals, because it's just so sad. But if you're curious, you could Google plastic harm to wildlife for an eyeful, but let's do that later. So how do I prepare for my creek stomping adventure? If I'm going creek stomping, I put on my boots, or even better, my old tennis shoes. Some folks think that this is a shoe, but I would beg to differ, because shoes stay on your feet, and this really doesn't qualify. Shoes stay on your feet. And I know this because I find so many in the creek, and there's never a foot attached. So really, I think it would make a good raft for my frog. Let's see how this works. I think he fits just perfectly on this raft. Okay, so proper footwear is number one. And what else do I need besides shoes? Well, I'm gonna need some snacks, for sure. And if I bring snacks, I'm gonna need a water bottle. This is my trusty reusable, it could last forever water bottle, even if your mother runs over it with a station wagon. For real. It's so much better than that 1 million a minute trashy plastic water bottle. Remember this? If you do any creek cleanups, you're gonna find a lot of these. Oh, the next thing I get is a reusable bag. Or, if you really think you're gonna be collecting a lot of trash, you can kill one of these massive babies. They are donated by Missouri Student Team. Pretty cool. If I get a bag, I'm gonna bring gloves. So, it's always good to wear gloves. You never know what you might come across. And if I bring gloves, I might need a life jacket. Here's my life jacket. And if I have a life jacket, sometimes, maybe you're not actually in the creek, you might be along a road, you might need a safety vest. Got it all on. If I bring all that, I might invite my friends. And if I invite my friends and family to join me, I'm gonna have to put on a mask. Come on in. Oh my, I just organized the creek stomping trash mob adventure. Hi Sean, thanks for coming. What is a trash mob, you ask? Well, trash mobs are sort of like flash mobs. They just sort of appear out of nowhere, collect a bunch of trash, and leave the area ready for critters to safely return. Sometimes treasures can be found, like balls or strange antique toys. You just never know what you might find. Speaking of which, You never know what you might find. Yes, picking up trash can be dangerous. That's why you wear those gloves and a safety vest along roads and a life jacket in the water. And if you find broken glass or a needle like the ones a nurse gives you shots with, do not pick it up because you might get cut or poked, and that is not good. In Columbia, Missouri, there are so many creeks that all lead to the Missouri River. Imagine how safe and beautiful our creeks could be if we all got out to play in them and pick up a little bit of plastic along the way. If you're thinking, oh yes, I want to go play in the creek and I want to bring along a bag too, but my parents are asking me all kinds of questions like, well, what are you going to do with that trash once you pick it up? And, well, we don't have any gloves or extra bags or safety vests. So many questions. Tell them you have a plan. Tell them to visit the Missouri River Relief website or Google River Relief Trash Mob, and they can find their answers, and we can set you up with all the supplies you need to get started, like gloves, trash bags. And I have to give a big shout out to the Missouri Stream Team for the supplies they're donating. Be sure to keep track of how much trash you collect. Take a picture of all your trash treasures and then fill out a trash mob report found at our website, www.riverrelief.org. Now, let's go see if my flip-flop frog raft floats, and maybe flip-flop frog can race baby flop otter. Let's go see. Okay, on your marks, get set, go. Go, baby flop, go, come on. I think flip flop's gonna win. Bye. Okay, better go get him. I don't want it to become trash. No. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me, everyone. Have fun out there. Stay safe, and see you in the creek. Don't forget to bring old tennis shoes or boots, some snacks, reusable water bottle, some gloves to protect your hands, life jacket or safety vest, trash bag, paper and pencil to write anything down, keep notes, draw pictures, all that.
Well, awesome. I am so excited we got to visit Laura out at the river, and I honestly thought that Baby Otter was going to win the flip-flop race, but you know,
Unfortunately not. That
the
flip
frog
flop
kinda
didn't
took
really
there,
help Baby Otter out there.
right?
I know.
I think it helped to have a bigger flip-flop, maybe. But I'm really glad Laura was able to catch them in time and kind of reel them in. So, Anna, what kind of questions do we have come in while we were watching?
Okay, we're just going to go over some of the basic questions, some frequent flyers, you could say, as far as questions go. And the first one I have for you, Kristen, is how do I find a creek to clean up?
Yeah, so literally you can walk right out your front door because unfortunately trash is kind of everywhere. So you don't have to do specifically a creek cleanup. You could do a cleanup in your neighborhood, and that's something that's really easy. But if you really got excited about doing a creek cleanup, I know where Laura was just at is a really beautiful place. So it's nice to get out too. What I do is I will pull up on my phone Google Maps, and I will type in my address, and I'll start to zoom out, and I'll look for areas that are green because those are often public parks or areas where the public can access. And often in those green spaces, there is small creeks that run through them. If you really want to find a creek, though, you got to look for the blue on the map. So if you can find a little squiggly blue area and maybe a green area, then you can find quick access to a creek that is local to you and maybe right in your own backyard that you don't even know about. Great question.
Oh, and it seems like the Google Maps would come real in handy if you were looking for a creek and didn't have any idea where to start. But if you do know where there is a good access for creeks, maybe you could start by just going there. So we're going to move on to our next one, which is, what if I find something that's dangerous?
Yeah, so a lot of the things that we find is trash. Most of the time it's plastic. It can be unsanitary to pick things up if you're not wearing gloves, so we definitely promote that. But things that could be hazardous to your health that we find are needles and syringes, like Laura mentioned at the creek. Also jagged glass or animal carcasses. Even lifting really heavy things could be hazardous to your health too. So we encourage people to, take things and precautions and kind of know their limits. But we're here to support your cleanup efforts. So if you find something that is hazardous, like a car battery or a jug of oil or pesticides, something that's dangerous that you just shouldn't touch at all, the best thing to do is to contact the Department of Natural Resources. And it can be helpful to flag the site, to get maybe the GPS coordinates of where you're at. And that information can be given over to the Department of Natural Resources. Now, we work with the Department of Natural Resources all the time because we're finding all sorts of things out there. So if there's something you're just not sure about, then we are more than happy to reach out to our partners and let them know of a hazardous item that you found. So you can also contact Missouri River Relief because we're a resource for you as well.
Thank you very much for that answer, Kristen. I'm sure it'll be helpful for some people if they get into the bigger creeks in the area.
Mhm.
Another question that comes up a lot is, how do I get rid of trash after I pick it up?
I know that seems like such a good parent question to ask if you are a kid and you're really excited about this is, what are you going to do once you get all this trash? Sometimes it can be just a couple bags. And the thing that you can do in Columbia, Missouri is that you can just tie those up securely and put them out at the curb on your trash day, and someone will pick them up for you. If you find things that are a little bit bigger, that can be a challenge. So sometimes we have reached out to local businesses that are along the cleanup route that we're at or the nearby creek, and they have been very generous in allowing us to be able to fill up their container or dumpster with our trash bags. We ask that if you do that, just to be respectful, that you don't overflow their bin. And it is important to know that tires, they actually have to be disposed of separately, along with like refrigerators, hot water heaters, those sorts of things. Those cannot just be thrown away. So again, if there is something like that you find, River Relief is here for you and your family to help out. So please feel free to reach out to us on our website.
And our last question that we're going to be going over today is one that pertains to the pandemic and current conditions. So the question that often comes up is, what are some ways that you can stay safe during the COVID-19 pandemic during a creek cleanup?
Yeah, that's great. That's a very relevant question right now, because getting outside and spending time outside is important, and it is something that we can do during the pandemic if we just follow a couple practices. One is that we encourage you, if you're going to work in a group of people, to pick up trash, that you stay in small groups, or that you work with just people from your household, like your family, and pick up trash. We also encourage you to stay 6 feet apart or more from any non-household members, so people that aren't your family. And then frequently wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds before and after picking up trash. Even though you're wearing gloves, soap and water do help. And then applying hand sanitizer when you might not have access to soap and water. And then, of course, like Laura was sporting earlier, wearing our mask and covering your nose and mouth can be helpful if you are picking up trash in an area that has a lot of people maybe frequenting it, or you are with a small group of people. Well, thank you so much, Anna. Those are all great questions. I look forward to hearing possibly more in the future. Please know that you can reach out to River Relief whenever you need something, especially when it comes to picking up trash. I am going to turn it over to Sarah from the library now, and she's going to share some of the really great books about the Missouri River.
Thank you so much for all that great information. I wanted to point out that in the comments section, you can have a link to some great Missouri books about the river here at the library, along with a link especially for Missouri River Relief. So you can click on that and see a whole great big book list with several different titles on it and different topics. And I'm just going to point out a couple different ones tonight. One is a favorite about the river that has come out, and it's called Growing Up with the River, 9 Generations on the Missouri by Dan and Connie Burkhart. And I just wanted to point this out because the Missouri Humanities Council has just done a 10-part series about this book using storytellers and having some curriculum things. And so we'll put that information in the lovely comment section here so you can find that information. So it's kind of a different take on the river, and it goes through many, many, many years, all the way back from the very beginning till a few years ago. So it's got a lot of nice history in it about the river. And also on the book list, you'll find things for the youngest among us as well. Mm-hmm. So you'll find some picture books about joining the No Plastic Challenge, and you'll also find some what I like to call middle-aged children books on the Missouri River by Kate Mariceau. So you'll find a lot of fun things about the Missouri River, and also a book called Trash Talk, all about moving toward a zero waste world. So different things that Anna and Kristen have touched base on, you can find on the book list. And if you need a library card, you can do that online as well. So we're very happy that you could join us tonight. Please do reach out to Missouri River Relief. They always have chances for you to help them. So make sure you check their website, and we hope to have them back in the future. They've been great partners the last few years, so we're glad to have them here tonight. So go out and make it a good evening, and we'll catch you later.
Thank you, Sarah. Bye, everybody.
Good night. Thank you for having us.